Let's show you guys why we entered these trades that we took all week, and here are my callouts right here. So you guys are actually going to learn a lot because you guys can understand why I entered in the first place, how my mind thinks when I'm trading, and if you go back into last week's vlog, you guys will understand and see all the entries that I took live. And I also did some live trades for you guys as well to add a little bit of a bonus in the vlog. And let's get right into it, guys. Today's recap is going to be real fast. I only took 3 trades this week and they all printed nicely. So like I said, today's recap is going to be fairly quick because we only took 3 trades. Now let's quickly break down them and let's get this video done quicker than expected, sooner than later. So let's talk about the first trade on AMD. Now this was a very solid setup and I was shooting for price target, but instead it came back down to my stop loss, which was above my entry. That's a very smart thing. If you're seeing some good gains, you might as well set your stop loss above your entry so that even if you get stopped out, you're still going to be green and in profits. Now let's talk about this trade breakdown here, because number one, let's talk about the trade and why I entered. But number two, let's talk about what I could have done better here. Now, let's talk about number one. Number one is I entered off of this candle here. On this candle open, I entered right away. Now, why did I enter? The reason why I entered is because if you guys grab this most recent wick, the highest point connected with this most recent wick, which is pre-market high, and draw that trend and extend it, you guys will see at this point we're breaking that most recent downtrend. Plus, the reason why I was even watching this trade in the first place, and I mentioned it all over the stock chat in the general tab as well, is the fact that AMD is ranging here, and I would love to take calls or puts whatever direction it breaks to and it decides to do. Now in this case it broke to the upside, but there's 2 very solid reasons why I should have entered calls, and the reason why I even entered in the first place was because not only are we breaking this most recent range, but we're also breaking that downtrend. So I decided to enter as soon as I saw a nice candle close above for a confirmation that we're going to pump up here right after this trend breaks. I entered calls at the next candle open at 10:45 a.m. and you guys can see I called it out at 10:45 a.m. 140 calls, same week expirations for 228 a piece. I said play lightly because it might come down for a retest before it push more. Now, unfortunately, this thing did end up rocketing pretty nicely to 12%. And I was shooting a price target of this most recent highs right here. This most recent general area is where I was shooting for a nice price target. It would have been 15, 20-ish%, but unfortunately, we never got up to that general area. So it just showed us 10 to 12% gains here, kept bouncing a little bit. I said in the chat as well, I'm setting my stop loss at entry. Now, it's either going to stop me out or hit my price target. And in this case, it stopped me out for $3 a gain because I set my stop loss above my entry, just $3 in gains. And here is proof of this right here. So that you guys know I'm not capping or lying. It did hit my stop loss and it was above $3. So I still managed to collect a $3 gain that day. And that was my only trade that I took that day. Now, what I could have done is this. I could have got a better entry. And the reason why I say I could have got a better entry is because look at this range right here, guys. Let's talk about this range. It's ranging in this general area. No solid breakout candles yet. But what is this candlestick telling you right here? This hammer candle. Plus, look at the volume. It's not too crazy. So that's probably why I also didn't take it. But this candle is indicating that we want to potentially break out. Plus, if I draw my range a little bit better, maybe just use the candlestick closes instead of the highs or the wicks highs, that's a breakout right there. That would be a very nice entry. Now here, taking it above the most recent trend, taking it above the most recent trend, man, I'd probably be up over 30-40% on that single trade alone if I would have entered there. So maybe what I could have done better is draw my range a little bit better because I just decided to use the most recent highs and the most recent lows. But maybe if I would have grabbed just the candlesticks closes and the candlesticks opens, it would be a nice breakout entry there on that specific candle with a nice hammer to the downside for a nice breakout exit, for a nice breakout entry. But it is what it is, guys. So that's the first trade down, and we took still a $3 profit on that trade. Then the next day we took puts. This is very important and why I want you guys to understand how I think and how I look for trade setups, because after that trade call out, the day closed, boom, in the pre-market, I decided to call out my trade plans, what I'm looking at for today or in this specific day, which is Wednesday. I said I'm taking puts below 137.12. Basically yesterday's lows, and it is yesterday's lows. Plus, if you look at the most recent reaction over here, it's a nice support area as well. Every time we hit this general area, we tend to bounce. But market was looking very bearish, and I decided to enter puts below that general area. But we even got a very solid entry. Let me show you guys the entry, and the way I entered was on the 5 minutes. So this day, it looks better on the 5 minutes, and also we entered because of the 5 minutes too as well. I could have waited for a 15-minute candle close below, but we ended up waiting for the 5 minutes instead. And I'll tell you guys why here in a second. Because you guys know me, and lately I've been saying I don't like to trade on the 5 minutes, a lot of fake outs. But in this case, it was a very strong bearish momentum to the downside, and I decided to enter. Now, the reason why I entered is because of very specific, because if you guys grab this most recent lows, connected to the uptrend of the most recent highs, wicks, higher lows, we end up breaking the higher low concept. And if you watch my higher low concept, you'll understand what that means. But basically, very simply, we're starting to break that trend of the upside higher low concept. Now we're going to start creating some lower lows. So as soon as this 5 minute candle closes below, I decided to call out AMD 137 puts at 225 a piece at 8:14 a.m., literally seconds before this candle decides to open, because I saw that we were going to officially get a candle close below. There was no long wick to the downside, just seconds before this candle closes, and as soon as we entered, guys, very solid entry. Gets a nice breakdown to the downside, even breaks down even below my actual original put level. So I got a very good entry on this one, which I could have taken over and did that on Monday's trade idea, but we took it on this one. Because as soon as you get a nice 5-minute candle close below, I decided, you know what, we're entering on this nice breakout. Pushes down, and I'm not even gonna lie, guys, usually as soon as I see this candle close with the long wick to the downside, I probably would have sold there for a nice 10, 12%. And we were up about 10, 12, 15% here. But what I did better, and this time I'm very proud of myself, guys, is the fact that I decided to hold for another 5 minutes, hold again for another 5 minutes. And even this 5 minutes right here, guys, you guys saw that live trade. Unfortunately, I cut out a lot of it because it was over about like 20 minutes long. And I decided to cut out from the entry to me holding to the exit. Guys, I even managed to hold after this 5-minute green candle here, because this was indicating that buyers were doing their absolute best to try to step in, but I still managed to hold. So we did good. A little bit of round of applause for ourselves, pat myself on the back, because we managed to hold as best as we can. Now, we took these contracts from 225 entry to 270. And if you guys watched that live trade on Wednesday, you guys will see that I actually tried to sell at the very bottom of this wick for 280. But I had a stop loss above in like 15% profits. And I guess you have to cancel that before you can actually fill your order. So I tried to hit the sell button 3 times before I had to cancel that stop loss and then sell it one more time. And I finally got filled. So it's lost $10 extra on there, which is totally fine. But we still managed to collect over 25% on this single trade right here, guys. This was a very solid trade. The reason why I really like this trade and I give myself a pat on the back is because I managed to hold for 4 solid candles to the downside before I can even manage to sell at the very bottom for a nice 25% gain. Now, the third trade was on Apple, and I'm going to go on a 15-minute time frame here because that is what I actually entered, but I did screen record this trade as well. Most of these trades, guys, I managed to screen record, at least 2 of them. The first one, I was out and about working on a car, on my side business, keep cleaning a car. So I wasn't able to live record that one. But these 2 that I'm showing you right here were the ones I was able to live trade and show you guys. Now, Apple. The reason why I entered Apple is very similar setup. Look at this trend. Grab this most highest wick of this candle and connect the wicks to the downside. You guys will see we're breaking out here on this 15-minute time frame. Now, I was also watching 5 minutes on my lower chart, and I showed you guys the screen as well. But the reason why I entered, because the volume on the 5 minutes was not strong enough for me, but the volume on the 15 minutes was strong enough for me. Let me show you guys as well. Let me pump up this volume bar a little bit, show you guys a little bit better. I entered at 9:13 a.m. between these 2 candles, but really 2 minutes before this candle started to open. The reason why I did is because look at the volume, guys. Look at how strong that volume is. It's way more greater than the most recent sellers and most recent volume in general, completely. I mean, let me just mark it off for you guys so you guys can see what I mean. These 2 candles alone are very strong. Lots of buyers are stepping in. So I entered at 9:13 a.m. Before this candle even opens, I entered on this candle here. One other reason why I entered too is because this candle is breaking the most recent candles here and here as well. It's breaking these most recent general area. Now, I didn't break above this area yet, but we broke above these most recent ones here. So I decided to enter on this candle. I exited very fast on this trade. I didn't manage to hold all the way to price target, which my price target was up here on this most recent trend. And let's talk about that for a quick second. The reason why I didn't hold it is because it pulled down here pretty hard, but we were still not below our stop loss. So we managed to hold it. We were down 17% here, which was like $48, 50 something dollars here. But this candle closed up here pretty strong, got to the highest point of the most recent highs here. So I decided, you know what? Let's just collect. 26% is a very solid gain. I had 8 contracts here. I bought 4 and I bought another 4 later. But I had 8 contracts total. I decided to sell 6 of them and keep 2. But the last 2 kind of pumped down a little bit and I sold still for a nice gain. But even then, look at the way this candle pulls back. Pretty strong. Now, this is a break and retest strategy here. The break and retest strategy here would probably have paid for a better entry, but I decided to use the aggressive entry. The aggressive entry is the fact I have 2 strategies. I use the aggressive entry or the break and retest. Now, the aggressive strategy paid me 26%. A break and retest strategy probably would be well over 100% gain. Because the reason why I say that is because of this, guys. You get a nice breakout here of this trend, comes back down to retest that trend break, which is the retest entry. Then look at this next candle, just instantly rockets. You're probably up over 30, 40% there. Then this next candle probably puts you at that 100% there. Now, what I could have done better maybe is take the second entry or even re-enter or let those last 2 that I was in be runners and let it either hit my stop loss, which in this case, it did get down to my stop loss, but we didn't get a candle close below the stop loss. It ended up pumping up for the break and retest strategy. And I even said right here in my chat, I said leaving 2 with a stop loss above entry. So it did come down to my stop loss and sell me out of my stop loss. But I was still in very good profits on this day. So those were the 3 callouts I took this week. And I hope you guys understand how my mind works, the type of trade setups I take, and the 2 type of strategies that I trade. I have an aggressive entry and I have a break and retest strategy. Now, in this case, on this Apple trade, I took the aggressive entry. Same thing with the AMD puts. I took an aggressive entry as well. You see, the break and retest strategy did not work for the AMD puts because when it came to retest that general area where I entered, it kept climbing up. So in that case, the break and retest strategy on the AMD puts wouldn't have paid, but the aggressive entry that I took paid me nicely, over 26%. Now, in this Apple trade, I took the aggressive entry and it did pay me 26%, but the break and retest strategy came to retest that trend and break up for some new higher highs on the day. The break and retest strategy on Apple would have paid nicely. So I have 2 strategies, guys. Maybe I'll break them down here soon too as well and go over an in-depth video on how I take it and what I determined to take it. Because in this case, the reason why I took it is because the volume is pretty strong. Buyers were stepping in on the higher time frame. And same thing with the AMD puts. Momentum was very strong to the downside, so I didn't take the break and retest strategy. I took the aggressive one because volume was kicking in. Bearish momentum was major. And I decided, you know what? Let's not miss this move. So now that you understand how my mind works as far as how I spot these trade ideas, very simply intraday movements, nice little trend breaks, nice most recent low breaks to the downside for some put entries. It's very simple trading. I don't complicate it with all this extra words or ICT concepts. It's very simple trade strategies and it's very simple trade setups. Breaks of new recent lows, breaks of some new higher highs, trend breaks, pattern breaks. I keep it simple, guys. And it's paying well because if you took every single trade that I called out from the start of this month, you'd be profitable with me as well. Every single week, even the first week, even though I took 2 losses and 3 wins, you still would have been profitable. Week after that, 5 wins, 2 losses, you still would have been profitable. This week, 3 wins, no losses. You would have been profitable. Every single trade week that we end profitable, guys. So let's finish this last week out strong because either way, we're going to be profitable. We need to keep making sure we tweak and tune our plan every single time. Because what I'm noticing is some strategies work better for certain trades, or I could even re-enter or add more, or just let the runners run. So with all that being said, I hope you guys learned from my losses, from my mistakes, from my wins as well, because I'm learning every single day, guys. That's what we have to do as traders. But not only that, as a person in this world, in order to even get better and elevate and get to the next level, you have to tweak and look at what you did wrong every single time. You can't just go about your life, never look back at what you did wrong and learn from those mistakes. You can never do that. That doesn't work. You have to look back at what you did wrong. You have to look back at what you really want and what you want from yourself to get better at. And in this case, guys, ever since we started doing this for my own self and sharing it with you guys as well, I've been getting better. That AMD put that I took, I give myself a pat on the back because I held very long and I made a nice gain. Now this Apple puts, it's a different story. It was a good trade. 26% is nice, but it could have been better. It could have been better. I could have gained 100%. But I'm not going to look back at the contracts and see what they turned into because we're not doing that, guys. We're looking at the charts. We're not trading our P&L. We're trading the charts and seeing what we could have done better on the charts. I'm not looking at the money and saying, I could have made more money today. No. Let's skip past that and let's look at the chart and say, no, I could have held longer today. So these trade recaps are not only for myself to learn from my own mistakes, but it's also you guys can learn from me as well and understand the way I trade, why I enter, when I enter. And I'm going to do a breakdown here soon of my strategy as far as the break and retest strategy, which is very simple. You can find it all over YouTube, but I'll show you guys the way I do it, as well as why I enter on the aggressive entries, because I love aggressive entries. Sometimes you don't get the break and retest strategy. Sometimes it just pulls up above your most recent highs, continues on going higher highs, like the Google trade that I missed. Many of them, guys. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope to see you guys in the stock trading chat. If you guys want to join, we have a free server. 98 people are in it right now. Or you can join the signal chat and catch all these signals that I'm calling out. Because I take every single trade that I call out. I'll never call out a trade that I'm not in myself. I'm only going to take trades that I take as well. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have a good Sunday. It's Thanksgiving week this week. Thursday, market's not open. Friday, it's a half day. It closes 3 hours earlier. So let's have an awesome week and let's finish strong, guys. See you guys on the next one.